end. I don't want to forget anything. Okay, so one thing you'll see right away is sometimes you'll see some of this brown goo.
What is that?
It's coagulated blood. So when they die, some of the blood leaks into their abdominal and their thoracic cavity. So any of that business, if there's a lot of it, you might even want to rinse your cat out just to get it all out if there's a whole lot of it. But you can just kind of pick any of that out, okay? One of the other very first things that you'll see is what looks like a rather large sheet of fat that is sitting across the abdomen. I'm going to cut your cat's tail off because it's just bothering me. Is that okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, it keeps poking
disgusting.
me. Okay, so, all right, so it looks like a sheet of fat, and what it is this is called the greater omentum, and it is a double layer of membrane that kind of covers all of the abdominal organs, and it has a couple of interesting jobs. It can stop blood flow, like if there's an injury. Okay, so it does a couple of interesting things. All right, and so here's the greater omentum. All right, it is attached to the stomach. Okay, so up here is the stomach. Okay, and so the stomach is kind of J-shaped.
Well, it's little.
Well, he's a little cat, right? So here's our stomach, and it's kind of J-shaped. And so on the stomach, we have, because it's curved, we have the outer curvature and the inner curvature. And this outer curvature is called the greater curvature, and that's what the greater omentum is stuck to. Okay? And then along the inner curvature, can I have a probe? Thank you. Along the inner curvature, it's kind of covered with blood, so you can't see it very well on this cat, but you see this little thing right here?
Oh, yeah.
That's the lesser omentum on the lesser curvature.
So it just covers the top of the stomach?
It's just in the inside curve, okay, as opposed to the outside curve. So this is the greater curvature of the stomach. This is the lesser curvature. And so this is the greater omentum, and this is the lesser omentum.
The greater is connected to the greater?
Yeah.
And the lesser to the lesser?
Yes. That's good how that works out, huh? Okay. All right. So now the esophagus. So here's our stomach. You know the esophagus goes up to all the way up to the pharynx up there. We're going to deal up there in a minute, but for right now, when you feel your stomach, you can stick your fingers in there, and you can feel your stomach passes through a hole in the diaphragm. So here's our diaphragm, right? And there's a hole in the diaphragm. There's some delicious fat here in the way, okay? But there's a hole in the diaphragm where you can feel the esophagus. And I can kind of like pull on it. And you see how things are moving up there?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm pulling on the esophagus, okay? So you can't really see it yet, but it's under there and it goes up behind all the organs in the thorax, okay? Our stomach has several parts that are worth knowing. So the fundus, the stomach is kind of like a J shape. It's real fat on the top. So you see this piece that's curved on the top here of the stomach?
Yeah.
That's called the fundus. All right. The top third or so of the stomach is called the cardiac region. And so cardiac means
Cardiac muscle?
cardiac means not cardiac muscle, cardiac means heart. So when you have heartburn, what's actually hurting is the connection between your esophagus and the cardiac region of your stomach, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with your heart, but it feels like it's in your chest, so that's why they call it heartburn.
So what was the fundus?
So the fundus is the curve on the top, and then the cardiac region is like the top third of the stomach, okay? Then we have the body of the stomach, which is like the middle third. Okay. Then we have the last little piece, which is kind of like it's like the tip of a J, and that's called the pylorus. So the last little tail of it is the pylorus. It's right there. Okay. So fundus is the curvature on the top, cardiac region, body, pylorus. Okay. Now, what's a sphincter again? Somebody remind me what a sphincter is?
A muscle that's oval shaped or something.
A circular muscle. Okay. So, so we have the omentum is kind of in the way. Oh, this is crazy. That's what that fat is. So I know he's got a problem because what happened is he has a hole in his diaphragm. So his omentum was sticking up through his diaphragm, and his Whoa.
It was. What do you mean it was sticking in there?
Oh, that's crazy. And half of his liver is above his diaphragm. So he had a giant hole in his diaphragm, this cat. And so half of his liver poked up into his thoracic cavity. It's so big down here that half of his liver is up through his diaphragm and half of his omentum is up through his diaphragm, and it shouldn't be. So all of this blue up here, that should all be down there. He's totally screwed up.
Did he fall or something?
No, I think it was just a birth defect. I think he just had a really big hole in his diaphragm, and so as his organs developed, they kind of like, that was probably really painful. This poor thing.
But why is his stomach fat? Because it was fat like down here.
I don't know. I can't figure that out.
He was constipated.
We'll work our way down. Okay. So, all right. So,
Oh.
nothing seems particularly large.
So if all
that?
the liver
We'll
push
get to
up
that in a
up
second.
here, what happened to the thing on the top?
Nothing. It's just everything.